All right. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the April 3rd, 2023 meeting of CB11's Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee. My name is Jessica Elliott, and I'm the chair of the committee. This meeting is called to order at 6:33 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by Assistant District Manager Khalid Nixon, the staff liaison to our committee. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted to the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. If you click the participants icon, the participants panel should appear and you should find the raise hand function there. If you still have technical difficulty, you may click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. The chat function should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having or to state in writing information like an email address that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. When a member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you and you can unmute yourself so that you can speak. Please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand through Zoom and wait to be recognized. We will now take attendance by roll call. Oops.
Okay, give me 1 second, members. Okay, members, just to reiterate that we have 12 members on this committee and 7 are needed for quorum. Diane Collier.
Here.
Thank you. Jessica Elliott.
Present.
Thank you. David Giordano.
Present.
Thanks, David. Alonzo Johnson. Jewel Jones.
Present.
Connie Lee has requested excusal. Malik McCullough.
Present.
Thank you. Debbie Quinones.
Present.
Thank you. Asher Rodriguez. Asher, I know I saw that you're here. Okay, we'll circle back. Russell Schuler.
Present.
Thank you. Michelle Wiltshire Clement.
Present.
Thank you. Jordan Wright. Okay. You have quorum, Chair.
Thank you. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there is no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand through Zoom. Asher, are you unmuting to say present?
Yeah, sorry, I'm on the train, so my internet's cutting in and out.
Okay, seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from our last meeting were distributed to committee members ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we'll adopt the minutes from that meeting. Committee members, if you object to adopting the minutes, you may raise your hand through Zoom. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the last committee meeting are adopted. They will soon be available on the CB11 website. All right, we'll move forward to our announcements. Yes, so our first announcement is there's a cross committee collaboration item here for the Economic Development and Culture Committee for CB11 regarding the New York City Mural Arts Project. So that is a item that could be at either of our committees. We've decided that it will live under Economic Development and Culture. So that committee is inviting us to attend their April 18th meeting at 6:30 p.m. to hear about that project. Are there any other announcements? Okay. We have our informational updates. We'll start with our city agencies. Are there any city agencies? If you could please raise your hand and wait to be recognized through Zoom that would like to give an informational update. David Williams, would you like to give an update for parks?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm sorry. Good evening.
Okay.
I'm
Good
sorry.
evening.
Yeah, I'm multitasking here. Just brief update. I got my volunteer season is underway, and I have volunteer events in Thomas Jefferson Park coming up next week. I had a volunteer event last Wednesday, and while we cleaned the 111th Street along First Avenue at Thomas Jefferson Park. So always a pleasure to have volunteer youth come out and help us support keeping our parks beautified. The handball court at Thomas Jefferson was painted over the weekend because it gets vandalized on a daily basis, like like every single day. As soon as we paint it, it's vandalized again. So I'm definitely gonna look into see if we can get some help with NYPD as far as getting some patrol over there. What else we have? We have the renovation of Paul Richards Playground, which is still on schedule for late spring opening. So I haven't heard any setbacks as of yet. So far that looks good. Horticulture crew has been going around spurring up some of the ball fields, baseball ball fields for the ball field season. Our ball field season has officially begun on March 16th. So the field's looking pretty good. Let's hope it stays that way. A lot of dog walkers have taken upon themselves to use our ball fields as dog runs, which is not allowed. So I had to kindly escort a couple of patrons off our field, especially at Thomas Jefferson as well. And what else we have? Oh, and daylight saving end. So our park hours of operation have officially changed to 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. As the season go along, we'll open up much later. And as the weather changes, we'll open up much later as well. Short staff on Sundays and Mondays, so we've been having some issues getting our parks open on time, but we're working on that. Hopefully, get some additional staff to help resolve that issue. And that's pretty much it. I'm on the call, so any questions, I'll be on the call to take any questions or comments.
Thank you, Dave. Are there any questions for the Department of Parks and Recreation? Debbie?
Good evening, everyone. The first question I have is I'm hoping that you will consider Art Park for Movies Under the Stars this year. We're hoping that works out, because in the past, what has happened is that we have been skipped in some cases, and in other cases, we have gotten movies like late in September, and it kind of interrupts with folks going back to school. The second thing is that, the park openings have been really sporadic and unfortunate, because with the new art installation there, we've been trying to organize people to come see it. And it's quite embarrassing when you organize a tour or an invitation for people to come see the park and it's closed. And not only that it's closed, but that it opens up at like 2:00, 2:30 on the weekends. I've faced that issue a few times, and I just want to raise this as a point of concern, because I'm hoping that when you said that the hours have changed, that applies to this park as well, especially in light of the fact that we have this new art installation there.
Yeah, that is very late. And I actually had a discussion with supervision this morning about these way off hours of opening. No matter what the schedule, no matter what the staffing is, parks should not be opening that late in the day.
It was 2:30, Dave. It was 2:30 when they opened.
No, that's too. No, I have to speak to find out what's that all about. That's not acceptable. Let's just keep it honest. That's too late in the day. But like I said, I have been have a discussion about opening and closing just this weekend alone. So I've been getting a lot of calls and complaints keep it in, keep calling and complaining. Unfortunately, hopefully, we get the notifications and bring it to my attention, because that's the only way I would find out as well.
So just one final comment on that. Is it that, should I call 311 or should I just wait for these meetings?
I would honestly, I would just tell you call 311, because
Okay.
Thank
Thank
just
you.
keep calling. And I try to discourage that, but in this situation where you're telling me 2:30 in the afternoon, no, that does not look good at all. I will speak to the staff tomorrow, so hopefully that doesn't occur again. And like I said, even with staffing issues, the park should be open at that time. One quick note, as you know as well, the NYPD Parks Enforcement and the Parks Department, we did have a operation last season in regards to keeping our park closed a certain time of the day. 2:30 was not a part of that subject, so I'm not even gonna defend that at all.
Right.
But that is being monitored. The activity there has fell off, but there is some still activity in the back there.
And
Yeah.
Deb,
I get that.
hi, it's Jana. Hi, Jessica. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dave.
Jana.
Just a note too, we don't want you to have to wait for these meetings for sure.
Right,
And,
right.
311, like Dave said, is helpful just to document it. But,
Correct.
you also, have Dave's information, david.williams@parks.nyc.gov. And, he's often in the field. So Dave, can sometimes be hard to get on email, but you can always CC me, even though it's not my park. Dave and I talk all the time. So, we'll try our best to be of help as well to make it, to try to resolve this.
I appreciate that, especially because this new art installation is in there and we have it until October. So now we're going into season and we're trying to do some programming around it. And it just impacts the whole morale project.
Well, and that's such a sweet park. And, I'm aware of CCCADI, that great event in August coming to Harlem Art Park. So, absolutely, let's work together and the three of us can try to get this resolved. Okay. But Dave also, as he shared, two things: lack of staff and also just different homeless and drug and other issues that pull us off just basic duty.
Well, just my final comment on the in terms of the quality of life impact by park regulars. I have to say that it's peaks and valleys, because it really hasn't been as bad as last year as of yet, let's say.
Yeah.
But I think what's happening is that I'm just gonna say it, people just cop and go, or they shoot up and go. But some of the regular folks that would spend the whole day there, I haven't seen them for quite some time. But yet, we're just going into the warm weather now, so they may come back.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you, David and Jana. I just hope we can find a solution. I know we've talked about Harlem Art Park on our meetings pretty consistently, and hope that Debbie's issues get resolved. So thank you so much for that information. Malik?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had technical difficulties. I'm having technical difficulties. But we're talking about parks, right? Regular parks?
Yes.
Not just rentals? Okay. My question is, how for the parks that has like the rats and stuff like that, because a park has it, like Alice Carnegie Park, I was told that has like a bunch of rats coming out of the playground area. How do we reach out to someone? Who could we reach out to at least take a look at it?
I forgot to mention that as well. I'm sorry. We have a whole, like, they've burrowed in under the center tree in the middle, and they're coming out like in drones of rats.
Okay, yeah, I'm taking note of that now. I mentioned this over the winter season that our exterminators were not allowed to exterminate it for various reasons due to, I guess, maybe permitting issues. I'm not in that division anymore, but they are allowed to exterminate or abate now. So they're abating again, and work orders should have been conducted by supervision as well, but I'm taking note of it. The last time I visited AK Alice Carnegie, the hole on the entrance was closed off. I don't know if the staff closed it prior to my arrival, but forestry was there doing some pruning and I didn't see the hole open. But you guys in the neighborhoods, your eyes are more.
From
More
what I
visible.
was told,
Mhm.
from what I was told, that it was under the mats that they were coming out of.
Oh, the play mats?
Yeah,
Really?
the play mats.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's news to me. Thank you for that information. I could get, I could put a service ticket in while we speak on the phone and get them to take a look at that.
And just a
Thank
note there, Malik and Deb, hi, Malik, Jana here. Just to, again, on the 311, because the mayor is making rat erasure such a huge
Mhm.
part of his mission, 311 is actually really helpful there too for documentation, because we were fortunate. I mean, it's sort of a catch-22. At Marcus Garvey, for instance, we were able to get $12 million in rat abatement funds for stone repair work because so many, we have so many reports of rats burrowing into the stonework at Marcus Garvey. So it's sort of a catch-22. The more rat problems you have, the more focus the mayor and his administration puts on funding going to eradicate that problem. So if you can document it via 311, that's actually helpful to keep building the awareness around the rat issues at those parks.
Thank you, because
Okay,
the other
I
thing,
will thank
yeah,
you.
I appreciate that, because what has happened is that when what they did was they moved all the leaves to the middle, and they're not really taking them out, which is blocking the tulips, and then they've burrowed under the center tree, and then it's like they just come out like a horrible movie.
Thank you, Debbie. Malik, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
I asked this question. Is there, I understand that you're saying funding for August Garvey, but my question to that is like, if they're not gonna be there, then where they're gonna go? So what would be is the mayor or do anyone have a plan? I'm not saying kill all rats, but to minimize, the problem in some way. Like, is there like a plan for it, in total? Because everybody has this issue, pretty much, especially parks,
Yeah.
I understand it's a problem. I'm just trying to figure out what would be if the mayor has a long-term plan, or anyone within parks have that
Yeah,
plan.
Malik, it's you could probably Google Mayor Adams rat abatement, and it'll probably pop up the program section of his administration's approach to rat abatement. And being the Parks Committee, CB11, obviously I think it could really be beneficial to us all if you guys, request more direct information from the mayor's office. I would think with CB11, they would respond pretty quickly because you're pretty vital to our functioning and oversight. But if you Google Mayor Adams rat abatement, it should pop it right up.
Yeah, Malik. Malik, yeah, step one in the process is eliminating the food source, of course. So that's why I think one of his initiatives was the time of days you can take out your trash, and instead of leaving it overnight for days and hours where the rodents actually feast on it. If there's not a food source, the rodents will be exposed to rodenticides that they will eat. But just as long as there's an option of eating something other than rodent bait, the rats won't touch the rodent bait. So we have to, step one, eliminate the food system. I think that's the first step one of his plan. Then once you target where the rats are living or sheltering in, then it's to catch them in their burrows before they are allowed to reproduce and stuff like that. So that's those first couple of steps, but it's always been a challenge for decades, of course, you know.
Thank you, David, and thank you, Jana. Michelle, I saw your hand up for a second. Was that a real hand?
I was just curious, would it benefit to contact Mark Levine's office directly as well?
Definitely.
Mm. Okay,
Okay.
good to know.
Thank you, Michelle. Jana, did you have your hand up to give additional updates?
Yes, Madam Chair. Hi, everybody. So some
Hi.
quick updates from Marcus Garvey Park. We're excited to be in April. So I'll be compiling this next week or so what we know of our programming calendar so far. Jessica, I'll make sure to share that with you, Khalid, to distribute to the committee. Two, we're welcoming any and all gardening volunteers, trash volunteers, park volunteers. So as always, I'll put my email in the chat. If anybody wants to reach out or send us folks, please do. Three, we're really excited because I think I shared before that the New York Junior League has made our Harlem Port headquarters at the east end of the Marcus Garvey Pool their park project of the year. So just today, our pod landed at Marcus Garvey Park, which is the New York Junior League container for all the tools and materials that we'll need to finish the work at the pool to open our horticultural center for the public and for our cultivation of plants that we can distribute at Marcus Garvey and also across the historic Harlem parks. And also we plan park plant giveaways probably once a month at least. So we'll be giving you more information after we get that site finished and opened. Tentatively, we have a ribbon cutting planned for June 3rd that you guys will be invited to, of course. Additionally, I wanted to give a shout out to Harlem Little League. We're really excited. Unfortunately, this past Saturday when they planned their opening day, it was 100% rain forecast, but we made the best of it by deciding that they would join us at the second annual Jackie Robinson Day Festival on April 15th. So their opening day of the Harlem Little League baseball season will be April 15th at the second annual Jackie Robinson Day Festival. Please join us. I'll send some materials around. We're updating them now to reflect the opening day edition. And just a heads up, we will also do a special May event with Harlem Little League at Marcus Garvey Park with the new community center, our community room rather, at the public restroom between the ball field and the amphitheater, and also the concession window. So one final note on the community room, I'll be reaching out next week, Jessica, to see when the Parks Committee might want to come by and check out our community room so that you can consider it for any uses you might have. It seats about, I'd say 50 to 60 people, and it looks out on the ball field. It has a refrigerator and bathroom. So if you ever want to use it for some public engagement, meetings, etc., we would welcome that.
Great. Thank you so much, Jana.
Thank you.
All right. Any final questions for Parks? All right. Seeing no hands. Michelle?
I'm curious, what are the hours that space is open?
Thank you. Yes, so I'll be scheduling it with our community partners. So typically you're gonna have to work within the hours we are staffed to begin with. So like Dave said, 7 to 7. I think 9 to 5 is ideal, just to make sure that we have enough staff. I will be the one scheduling it with our community partners. But if you're trying to schedule it outside of staff hours, then that could mean some overtime that you'd have to pay for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Michelle. All right. Thank you, Jenna and Dave, for your updates. I don't see any other city agencies on the line, so we'll move along to our parks advocacy groups. Malik?
Chair, I just have a question. I have nothing to do. I mean, it has something to do with, but not directly with them.
Yep, understood.
How will we be able to like request, or would we be able to like request to write a letter to, I guess, the mayor or Mark Levine themselves to request funding for our whole entire district, I guess, instead of like just parks itself for the rat infestation? How could are we able to, can we do that?
Yeah, Khalid, maybe just correct me if I'm wrong, but I think just because that is something we've had a position on before and it was in our statement of district needs, I think we can go ahead and reach out to Mayor Adams and Borough President Mark Levine in order to start the conversation.
Yes, you have those options, of course.
Okay, so Malik, you and I can touch base and we can work with Khalid and the community board staff to do some outreach on those two items.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right, are there any parks advocacy groups that would like to give an informational update? David?
Hey, Jessica. Hi, everyone. Donna is also here with me, Deputy Administrator. So just gonna give a quick update just for Randall's. One thing to update on is I know RFK Bridge came a while back probably and presented the new ramps and the new work they're doing on the island. Well, that this past month has really begun. So anyone who's been out on Randall's recently has probably seen some of the tree guards that are up. Some of the areas that have now kind of been taken over as construction sites. The big impact areas are primarily it's one detour now on the roadways to get to the Bronx ramp. If you're coming up from the north, you kind of have to make the full circle around the large parking lot area. It's not too bad. The second one is where the new pedestrian ramps are dropping down, which is kind of by the ferry dock and then by the Bronx Shore Fields. That area, we have lost some of the pathway, which they're going to be putting the ramps over. We've worked with RFK Bridge contractor to make it as limited impact as possible. We were able to come up with a way to create pedestrian access through the area safely. So we still have their construction zones, but you still, if you're a bike or ped and you're up in that area, you still will have a route to completely circumvent the area connecting Bronx Shore from the ferry dock and Living Shoreline. Unfortunately, the waterfront area in there is going to be closed off while they do the construction just in that area from the ferry dock to basically the bridge span in NYPD Harbor. But we are closing that area to vehicular traffic with their help, so it'll be safe and clear for pedestrians still to access on bike and walking. And I'm happy if people have questions about it. If you're out there, let me know. If you see anything, any questions or anything you see while you're out there, regards to the construction, let me know, and I'm happy to pass that on. The other stuff, just like David actually mentioned, the ball field's open. It's obviously a big thing for us. April 1st, our grass soccer field's open, so we are fully into spring. All our ball fields are busy. The schools are out after school, so it's great to see the park popping and active again. If you're out there, everything's starting to bloom. It looks pretty beautiful right now, especially with nice weather like today. With that, we're also starting up our regular volunteer opportunities every Wednesday with Team River. We have a waterfront cleanup. It's 9:30 a.m. to 12:30, runs from March to December. And then every Sunday, we have the Urban Farm volunteer events from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., April through October. So if anyone is interested in coming out to the farm to volunteer, come out on Sundays. Our staff will be there and welcoming everyone. A couple of programming things we have going on. Tuesday, April 11th, and I'll put in the chat just a link to our calendar that has all the specific details if people have questions, and obviously you can always reach out to me or Donna. Tuesday, April 11th, wildlife celebration down by the 103rd Street footbridge at 1 o'clock. There's a spotted lanternfly egg hunt, Saturday, April 15th. Anyone who wants to help us kind of squish the famous spotted lanternfly, our staff will come and show you some of the techniques and how to find them and what to look for. And then April 22nd, we're having an Earth Day festival down by the Urban Farm. So just a bunch of, great Earth Day activities out there. And Jessica, we're looking forward to your Earth Day program too. So that's kind of what's going on there. Two registration things, our summer camp the Randall's Island Summer Camp, where we work with local CBOs. The registration is open through the end of April. So anyone who knows any interested CBOs, they should reach out to our educational group, and I'll put the email in the chat too. And also summer field trip programs for CBOs to the wetlands, the urban farm, our educational programming, that's also open right now. And we're programming now. The spring is kind of have been programmed, and now we're looking to the summer. So any groups that are interested in those. So with that, if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, David. Are there any questions for Randall's Island Park Alliance? Please raise your hand.
That's the, oh, sorry, I sent that to Jen, I think. I always do that. The last
Yeah.
person who, all right. Well, I'm going to put in the chat again, the calendar and all the information that I just mentioned. And of course, any questions, reach out. And if you're in the park and you have any issues with the construction, the detours, anything like that, just let me know if you have any questions about it or anything we can do to make it's going to be for the next 18 months to 2 years. So we're really, we put things in place, but we can work with their contractor. They've been very open to working with us. And if there's things we can improve to make circulation to the park as limited impact as possible, we're looking to do it. So do let me know.
Thank you so much, David.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any other parks advocacy groups who would like to give an informational update? Please raise your hand. Debbie?
Important to unmute yourself. Very quickly, we're exploring a Mother's Day event. And on May 20th, it's going to be a really great day where it's going to be a dialogue between the artists that have installed the new piece with the artists from the old sculpture. So it's going to be a dialogue with artists, and there's a possibility where there's going to be the application of a poster by the artist to the new installation. So we're excited about that. And it's a partnership with Hunter College. And the other partnership that I'm really excited about is Madison Square Conservancy wants to coordinate an arts project in 2024 where they're going to have the first part of the art project start down there. And then it's going to be like a live installation. They're going to ride the bus uptown and then do something up here with this. I can't remember the woman's name. She's a Cuban artist. So it's going to be a collaboration with another park. So we're excited about that. And June 3rd is our Gay Pride event. So we're moving forward in all the planning. And so we're just trying to get things done. But like I said, it's kind of frustrating with the opening and closing being so unpredictable.
Thank you, Debbie. I just wanted to make sure I heard you right. The event with artist dialogue is on May 20th, did you say?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And we're
Are
going to
there-
try working on art and on Earth Day event too, that we're up and down.
Great. Are there any questions for Harlem Art Park? Michelle?
I'm sorry, could you repeat when the Pride event is going to be and what hours it would be around?
June 3rd is what I heard. But I didn't hear any hours. And now I don't see Debbie.
I think, sorry, I'm working on her with it a little bit. I think it's 12 to 5. She could correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, great. Thank you, Asher.
I might
And-
be wrong, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll confirm with Debbie when she hops back on. Thank you, Michelle. All right, are there any other parks advocacy groups that would like to give an update? Please raise your hand. All right, are there any other community-based organizations who would like to give an informational update? Please raise your hand. Going once. All right, we'll move along to our first presentation of the evening, the Central Park Conservancy Drive Study.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Jessica.
Erica.
My name's Erica. I'm Erica Sofa, the Vice President for Park Use and Stewardship at the Central Park Conservancy. And I'm going to be part of the presentation today. I think my colleague David Saltonstall is on the call with us as well.
Yep, I'm here as well. Hi, everybody. Thank
Hello.
you so much for making some time for us. If we can get going, I do have a short presentation. I don't know if I can share the screen.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Let me try to do that. People see that?
We just see the Zoom post attendee link.
What?
You might want to share your entire screen or the tab that you're hoping to share. There's sort of two options when you go to do it.
And David, if you need me to, I have it on my screen as well, so I could share it also.
All right, why don't you do that, Erica?
Okay.
Sorry.
Let me share, one moment.
No worries.
Okay, how about this? Do you see this?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, do you see just the presentation or do you also see your own video?
I only see the presentation. The only thing that might help is making it full screen.
Got it. Okay, there?
Yes, that's perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, you're welcome. All right, so David, I'll go ahead and click.
Okay. Well, again, thank you, everybody. I just want to mention that we're also joined here by Rafael Escano, who I think is a liaison to Community Board 11 from the DOT, and also Sarah Nielsen from NYC Parks. And we are very grateful to have them along as well. They are very much partners in this process. I think we're coming to you tonight to talk about this drive study, which we have launched in the last few weeks. And this presentation just gives you an overview of what our goals are and what the process is going to look like going forward, as well as a little bit of, the research that we have already pulled together. Erica, next slide. So the goals of this study are essentially three. I think anybody who spent any time in the park recently recognizes that it's become pretty crowded, especially on weekends, especially now as the weather warms up. There's a lot of fast moving objects in the park, whether they are regular bikes or e-bikes or scooters. There's a certain amount of trepidation among pedestrians trying to get across the drives. So we really just want to sort of step back and rethink how these roads are organized and laid out and striped and signaled and all those things. So in terms of the larger goals of the study, we absolutely want to improve safety. We want to improve mobility and accessibility. And we want to do those things by maintaining the character of the park. I think everybody recognizes that the beauty of Central Park is that it feels apart from the city. It was very intentionally designed to do that. But it's been a long time since anybody's taken a fresh look at the infrastructure itself. So how do you improve safety? It's about design interventions. It's about public outreach, education, improved signage, other things like that. In terms of mobility and accessibility, we know that there are a lot of people who are eager to find more paths across the park. It's not so hard to go north-south in the park. It is more challenging to go east-west, especially if you're a biker. So we've heard that message, and we hope that to be a part of this conversation. Since you're all park people here, we did include this quote from Olmsted, who was the designer of the park. 160 years ago, I think he recognized that the park would always be used by different people doing different things, going different speeds. And he talked about a separation of ways and efficiency and amenity of movement to avoid collision or the apprehension of collision. And I think apprehension of collision is exactly where we are right now and trying to solve for. So next slide. As I said, we are undertaking this study. The Central Park Conservancy is sponsoring this study. We are very much doing this in collaboration with DOT and city parks. I think most of you here probably understand, but a lot of people don't, the sort of jurisdictional lines within the park. The Conservancy is a private nonprofit that operates the park, manages the park on a day-to-day basis under a contract with the city. But we don't really have any authority over the roads, which are in the domain of the DOT, and that includes things like striping and signals. And of course, the park system enforces all the rules and regulations that govern the park. We don't, at the Conservancy really have any enforcement capacity. But, we do have a will to try and push this conversation forward in collaboration with our partners. So we have also hired Sam Schwartz, an engineering firm, to serve as a consultant and help us organize our thoughts and come up with some options for how to make it better. And we will be coming back to you with those options at the end of that process, which I will get to at the end of this. Next slide. It is interesting to look back a little bit. I will speed through some historical slides here, but it's interesting to consider that the drives have undergone some at least 2 or 3 really fundamental changes in the history of the park. For the first 50 years of the park, it was a carriage road for horses. Erica, it's not paved until 1912, when cars become more prolific. I think they used to call this stretch the speedway. As you can see, it was 2-way traffic. Bikes have always been part of the scene. For as long as there have been bikes, there have been bikes in Central Park. And they have always been accommodated. And in fact, for decades, cars and bikes kind of shared the road in Central Park, or at least most of it. Excuse me. That ended in 2018 when cars were officially banned. That was a great day for the park. And now you've got kind of this, which again, I think is probably familiar to anybody here who spends any time in the park. This is a fairly recent photo. You've got regular bikes, you've got e-bikes, you've got some pedestrians, you've got a biker going the wrong way. And what I think is interesting about this picture is that you can also see that the roads are still essentially laid out for cars, even though cars have not been in the park in any meaningful way for 4 or 5 years. The lanes are still car wide. The signals are what you see on city streets. And, at this point, most people ignore them because they think they are kind of a vestige of when cars were in the park. This light is green right now, but if it was red, I think everybody would be doing exactly the same thing in this picture as they are doing right now. So how to solve for that? Meanwhile, there are, just in the last few years, really, the advent of more e-vehicles, e-bikes, e-scooters have really added a new dimension to the park. And I think, made the crossings a little more challenging for a lot of people. Excuse me. At the same time, we just have, this is a lot of what we have, which is just like a lot of people. We get 42 million visitors a year, which is more than Disney World. And when you throw in pedicabs and horse carriages and a really nice day and all of that, it just becomes really congested and sort of cries out for a little bit of thought. So I'm going to throw it over to Erica to just take us through a little bit of a look at some of the explicit challenges that we know are there.
Thank you, David. Okay, let me just set this up here. Okay, so first we're going to take a look at the Central Park from the above. We'll take a look at the map here. And in this image, you can see the loop that goes around the park. That's 6.2 miles. And it's got 40, as David had mentioned, we get 42 million annual visitors into the park. This loop here has 69 at-grade pedestrian crossings. There's also 15 places along the park that feed into the drive. You can see that, all the entrance ramps that you see there. And so many different kinds of users are using the drive. We've got pedestrian, walkers, baby strollers, runners and joggers, the bikes and the e-bikes, scooters, e-scooters, pedicabs, horse carriages, you name it. Everyone's out there trying to experience the park and enjoy it. So we've got a lot to solve for here. We are solving for a range of issues. In 2018, we did hold some focused discussions and try to understand, like, what are we solving for on the drives? Even though as David showed, there are dedicated lanes, but they don't really serve to segregate the uses. Everybody goes in whichever lane they really feel like moving into. And so we want to look for a solution to that. Signals are widely ignored, mostly because those are typically signals that are used for traffic and for cars, and cars are no longer in the park. Bikers have trouble getting east to west. Crossings are challenging for seniors, children, and the disabled. Perfect example is, if you're a tourist, maybe you are paying attention to the lights, and maybe when it says walk, you think it's safe to walk. Meanwhile, everybody's flying by on their bikes, ignoring the red light. So these are challenges that we are up against. Emergencies and authorized vehicles have difficulty navigating the park. There's a lack of enforcement out in the park, and there's a lot of commercially related uses, like the pedicabs and the horse carriages and other things that are happening on the drives. During COVID, we did see a new type of use happen on the drives. We see more people at more times of day. Now that there's a lot more remote work happening, it creates flexibility for people. We used to see a rush in the morning of runners, people out getting their exercise. We would see a big rush after work at the end of the day. These days, we see busyness all day long. People are coming in when they can catch a break during the workday. We see a lot more people commuting during the pandemic. A lot of people got e-bikes and other things and have learned how to commute without public transportation, and that still exists. And the e-bikes simply have really taken off since the pandemic. Okay, this I think is really fascinating information here. So we worked with NYPD to collect crash data on the drives. This is bike accidents. Now, what I think is interesting, and this is, I think, especially interesting for Community Board 11, because this is kind of close to your district here. This is the north part of the park on the drive, and these are bike accidents. They're the kind of bike accidents that someone ended up calling NYPD for support. Someone had to call 911 because of the nature of the accident. So in the north here, you see we've got 3 areas. A lot of bike accidents happen. I'm going to move through the slides and then come back to this because I think there's an interesting story to tell here. In the middle of the park, we've got one area down there by the Delacorte Theater, where it's pretty high a number of accidents, 24 there. And then when you go to the lower part of the park, which is, by the way, the most congested part of the park. And a lot of times when we get feedback about the troubles that are happening out on the drives, we get a lot of feedback about this part of the park because it's so crowded. There's one place, 72nd Street and the East Drive, where is the most number of recorded bad accidents have happened there. But when you look far south, it's very light on how many people were calling NYPD for accidents. Come up, let's go back to this one that's up near your community board. There's a lot more. And the reason why you see more is because in the northern part of the park, and particularly this strip right here, it's kind of like a breakaway. It's a long hill. It's not very steep, but it's long and it's almost straight. And so you've got bikes taking off really fast there. And because it's not as busy as it is in the south part of the park, they just think, I can go, there's nobody around, you know, I can get moving. Meanwhile, you have people who are trying to get to the North Meadow ball fields, using East Meadow, going up to the conservatory garden, and they're crossing the road to get to different points. And they're thinking, it's kind of quiet here, nothing to worry about. So the accidents that happen up here tend to be more serious than the accidents that happen in the south. Okay, all right, so now I hope that we've showed you that there is a need to take a deep look at what's happening out there on the drives, and that's what we're up to. And I want to show you how you all who are here joining us from the public and who are on the community board also to share with the constituent base would be great. We want everyone involved in this. On this page, you can see this is what our landing page looks like. On this landing page, people can fill out a survey where you can give us your feedback about what's happening out there on the drives. There's 15 questions. There's also opportunity to feed in information, like personalized information to us. We've already got over 7,000 survey responses from New Yorkers. So, and just bring it. Like we want more. We want to hear from everybody. We also have an email address that you can email us directly if you wanted to get a little more personal or share something that doesn't seem to, that it's not on the survey. I'll give you that email address before we're finished. We've already got more than 1,500 emails. And this is going to be up until early June, so there's time to get it done. We're having 3 public open houses. Last week, we had 2 of them. The 2 that we held were online. They were online webinar format. David and I presented with Sam Schwartz, and Department of Transportation and Parks had joined us for those as well. We are doing many of the community boards. This is the first, so thank you for having us. And we're going to be doing some of the others too. As you can see, we've got a schedule here, the other boards around the park. And we're going to do an in-person public meeting as well in June, where people can come and engage with us. Another thing that David and I have done is we've been spearheading stakeholder outreach. So we reached out to more than 40 constituent bases. These are specific types of user groups that are out there in the park that we see a lot. Some examples would be like the New York Roadrunners, Achilles International, Century Road Club, like different groups that are, we reached out to Audubon, different groups that we really see these folks using the park a lot and engaging with the drive, and maybe not engaging with the drive like being on the drive, but maybe what you want to do is cross the drive to get into the interior of the park. That is just as important for us. We'll also be doing some in-park outreach. So you might see us if you come into the park, you might see some pop-up things going on here and there, trying to get people involved and informed. And we've got an active social media strategy. Okay, so one thing I think that's important to advise you all on is that we've got like no hidden agenda here. We do not know what the answers are at this point. We want to put everything on the table. It's very important to us that we hear from the public and we hear from the people who are using the park every day to find out what is working, what is not working, where are the problem areas, where are the pinch points, and that's what we want to solve for with our partners in Sam Schwartz. Everything's on the table. Signage, roadway, crosswalk stripings, new surface materials or treatments, cross-park mobility, that's a big question, as David mentioned, moving east to west, maybe new lighting, signals, new traffic calming measures. We may even recommend new policy. Education will certainly be a part of it, and improved enforcement. Okay, our timeline is that in winter, which we've pretty much just gotten through all this, we made the announcement, we launched the survey. David and I did all of our outreach with these key stakeholder groups, which, by the way, any group that wants a more personalized meeting with David and I, we're doing that with them. So we've met with a lot of groups one-on-one as well, and with some of their constituents. This spring, we did the first 2 open houses, as I mentioned last week. We're doing the community board presentations. And then this summer, we'll host our in-person meeting. We'll analyze all of the feedback and the survey information. And this fall, fall/winter, we'll be drafting our report, releasing that. We'll probably do another round of community board presentations to update you and let you know where we came to and give our final recommendations to the city. All right, so, with this study, we're really seeking to go beyond broad recommendations. We want to create concrete roadmap for future change. And we want this study to be of value for all of New York City and maybe even beyond. We have been, as part of this study, we've actually looked to parks all around the world and in our own country as well to see how they've been grappling with these kind of challenges. And we've seen all kinds of very interesting and creative ideas, but we haven't seen any particular park that's got it all worked out. A lot of parks all over the world are dealing with the same kind of problems that we are. And we hope that the work that we do here could be helpful to those parks as well eventually. And we want to leave behind a lasting legacy because, hey, this is New York City. So of course, we would like to do that. And with that, I think I'll just stop sharing the screen. I'll throw that email address into the chat in case anybody wants to send us question, and David and I and Sarah and Raphael are happy to answer questions if you have them.
Great. Thank you so much, Erica and David, and to the whole team. If you don't mind also putting in the chat the link to the survey, that would be helpful. And as I understand, we've been in communication with our board staff, and that information has been shared in our newsletter, and we will continue to share that for you all. And just if there are any questions from the board or from the public, please go ahead and raise your hand. You answered my question, which was when would the studies be available for representation to the community boards, which it seems like will be in late fall or early winter. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Late fall, early winter.
Okay, great. All right, Debbie. And then if anyone else has any questions, please go ahead and raise your hand.
Very quickly. One of the things that I'm unmuted, right? I just keep messing that up. And I'll lower my hand. So one of the things that comes to mind for me is that, on Thursdays, starting in next week, they're gonna have salsa every Thursday night at the Dana Center. That may be a nice impromptu place to go just to kind of get a feel from folks, because while they're dancing, the bikes are going by, and then they kind of tend to hang out in the park as well. So that's, I'm not sure if it's this Thursday, but I know soon it will be Thursdays. I'll make sure to let you know. But I think that may be an interesting crowd to reach out to, because even though it goes into the evening, you may have more robust responses.
That's great, Debbie. Thank you. I appreciate that. I am aware of the salsa group that comes in the evening near Dana Center. We have a visitor center right there. Right. So that's a great idea to do outreach in that area. And in the summer, we also do some salsa and different kinds of performances on Sundays out there. So I think we can reach that crowd through both of those activities. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's you have a variety of ages. And then you have folks that are indigenous to the community. And then you have folks that come specifically to those events that may not be from the community, so that you may have different perspectives in your responses.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you so much, Debbie. Michelle?
Hi, Erica and David. Thank you for your presentation. I really appreciated it. I was curious, both of you had mentioned that the vehicles, whatever they are not stopping to allow pedestrians and women or men who are moving children around to be able to walk safely across. Is there, or has there been any sort of temporary solutions to that even before the survey is completed so that fewer accidents do happen?
It's a great question, and there's really no easy answer to that right now. You know, we've talked about crossing guards out there at certain spots, like not sure whether that is something that would actually fly, but like that's the kind of thing that is on the table for us right now. It's difficult, you know, I mean, enforcement is always a challenge. The Parks Department is pretty shortly staffed when it comes to park enforcement. And some people think that is the best short-term answer to this, but it's always been a challenge. So it's hard to know. Maybe better signage, you know, and there are some intersections in the park that have, you know, flashing signs and really warn people more to slow down. We can talk to DOT about stuff like that, but really, I think, you know, we're trying to get to the next place, which is better signage, more, you know, more intelligent signage and signalization that just looks different and hopefully people respond to differently.
I do have a follow-up question
Go ahead,
with,
Michelle.
with both you and DOT. Have the places that do have the specific bike traffic lights, I guess. I don't know if there's a specific name for them. But do those work? I'm curious, has anyone noticed that? I mean, I stop at lights before crossing, even in the park. So I'm just curious.
I think they do work. I mean, I know what you're talking about. Those are lights that, you know, I know the Hudson River bike path has those stoplights that specifically have bicycle icons in them. And I think bikers are more responsive because those lights are just talking directly to them. Whereas I think they look at the more traditional signals like we have in the park as for cars. And well, there's no cars in here, so obviously I don't have to pay any attention to that. So I think there is a little bit of psychology there that is exactly the kind of thing that might make a real difference.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that Raphael heard that.
Yes, I heard. I heard, but I haven't been to the park since maybe a few months ago. So I'm not sure whether they're working, but they should be working. If they were not working, I think someone would have been calling already.
I mean, it's not that they don't work, Raphael. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they turn red and green and yellow, but they don't work because people don't pay attention to them, which is much like, you know, I mean, I think you can see similar behavior on city streets when it comes to the biking community. But, you know, you also see jaywalkers out there too.
I could add, you know, being someone who's in the park every day, and my job is really in the park. And I think one of the things too is that like New Yorkers understand that there were cars in the park and the infrastructure has not changed. Like the cars went out in 2018, but the infrastructure stayed the same. And so, you know, New Yorkers who are biking through there see those lights and are like, oh yeah, those were for the cars. But being someone who's in the park every day, I actually do see tourists or people who are from out of town. When they start riding in the park, they're stopping at red lights and they're looking around and then they're seeing everybody, like all the New Yorkers just blow through. And so then by the time, you know, they get into it, they start riding through the red lights too. But I think whatever we do, there's got to be a change that like speaks to New York, like that we're making an adjustment on this drive.
Great. Thank you, Michelle, for the question. Debbie, I'll give you
Just
one more.
very quickly, I was just gonna, I just want to provide some clarification on that strip that you were talking about, that it seems like that historically was a racing spot.
Interesting.
That historically that has always been a race, because you've got great hills on that, you know, like from 97th Street straight to like 110, like that. I used to ride it, so I'm just telling you, no. It
A
was
racing, I'm sorry, but Debbie, a racing park, a racing for what?
bikes. You
Cars?
used to race.
bikes.
Yeah, you used to
Oh,
race
yeah.
on bike.
Yes, yes, the entire loop was a bike race.
But no, but I'm just saying that one strip
Mhm.
where there happens to be a lot of those accidents in that particular piece right there. That
Uh-huh.
one piece that from there to there was generalized as a racing spot.
Thank you, Debbie.
Because I'm not racing the whole park. I'm just saying from the east side. That's what we used to do.
Yeah, that's great to know. And just one more follow-up question. I don't see any questions in the public, but if you do have a question or a comment, please raise your hand. I should know this, but are there any speed limits or for bikes in the park?
Yes, the speed limit on the drives is 20. That applies to vehicles, that applies to bikes, everything. 20 is the speed limit. And there are certain areas at key intersections where the speed limit drops to 10.
And do you feel like those speed limit signs are being followed by bikes at all?
No.
I mean, most bikes don't go faster than 20 miles an hour, but a lot of them do.
And the
they-
e-bikes, and I think the e-bikes in particular get up there in speed.
Yeah, I'm only asking because my alma mater also has a speed limit through the campus, and they, I think it's 25 miles per hour, but frequently bikes are being pulled over and given speeding tickets as if they were a car. But just wanted to bring that up. Did you have something to add, Sarah?
Yeah, just on that topic, I think it's interesting that, I mean, bikes don't really have a speedometer. So
Right.
you don't really know how fast you're going on it. And when you know, and so the speed question is a really interesting one that I think as the study advances, you know, I think some more information will sort of come out as to how, is that a good metric? Is it, how is it helpful? So, but I just wanted to throw that in about speedometers because I just realized that the other day.
Just a psychological constraint on the bike riders.
All right. Any other final questions or comments?
I just wanted, I'm sorry, I just wanted to make a comment in regard to the partnership that DOT has with the Conservancy and the park, that we are committed to continue doing so. So you let us know, keep us updated, and hopefully we could have a kind of a tour going through the loops, the DOT personnel and Conservancy and the park.
We would
Ira?
love that, Raphael, and thank you so much for the comments. And thank you so much to everybody else too. I guess if I could just leave you with one thing, I would urge everyone to go to the website, take the survey, encourage everybody else to take the survey, whether, you know, friends, neighbors, constituents, what have you. I think at the end of the day, it is the best way for us to sort of get a sense of where people are at, because there's just so much feedback on something like Central Park that if you don't organize it and turn it into like a real data collection tool, it's hard to capture it all and really sort it at the end of the day. So yeah, I think that's really the main tool we have. But of course, we'll continue to be talking to folks, whether at community boards or other public hearings. And yeah, maybe we'll see you at Salsa. Sounds good.
And before we leave, there's one more question from our board member, Asher.
Yeah, it was just a quick comment because we were talking about like the speed limits and stuff like that. Maybe part of the study could be examining how bikers are going down, like the speed that they are. Because I've seen like even for cars now, like when you're entering school zones, there's like the little thing that it's like watch your speed and it calculates your speed as you're going through. So maybe that's just a suggestion.
Good one.
Great.
Jessica, could I just add, there was a question in the chat about if the survey is only in English. I just wanted to note that it is also available in Spanish, and it's at the same link. So.
Great.
Yeah, it's definitely available in Spanish.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much for the presentation, and we'll obviously do the best that we can to share this far and wide with the community and to get as much input as possible from East Harlem residents. so that we have, sort of equitable responses across the districts here. And thank you so much for coming to our meeting to present on this important topic. And we'll look forward to your update on when the community meeting in person will be in June. And then following that, when the survey results are available and you're ready to come back in next semester of community board.
Yeah, we'll be back.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, bye.
All right. That concludes our presentations for tonight. How fast you are going. On our old business for today, this will be a relatively quick meeting because we only had one single presentation, but while we had some additional time, we thought it would be good to touch on the Earth Day planning. And Malik, feel free to unmute yourself and let me know. It sounded like we wanted to talk about parks tours at our scheduled meeting on Wednesday. Is that correct?
Yes, I want to talk about the parks tours on a scheduled meeting on Wednesday. Just briefly, we've been working on just a scheduling to visit the parks, all parks, within from June to August, and trying to give the park some attention and trying to create it where we'll do this on a yearly basis during the summertime. And we are almost finished, but I want to make sure that we're able to present it to our committee first, and then giving the full board enough time to at least see it, analyze it, and kind of like see who wants to be a part of it, pretty much. And that's about it.
All right. Great. And the only thing I would ask Malik is, I know Sharon from Civitas has been asking about dates and things for the jazz collaboration. So just hoping that once we talk on Wednesday that we can give her an update to see how that all jive together. Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Malik. All right. So in regards to the Earth Day planning, we have been meeting every week, trying to move these things forward. Just to give everyone an update, let me go to my little group here. We have reached out to all of we've reached out to the following partners. So New York City Parks, I've followed up with them today. I'd asked for city agencies specifically to let us know by last Friday if they planned to come. Not necessarily what they plan to present, because I think we can work on that together over the next couple of weeks. But so far, I'm still waiting to hear back from Parks. I imagine that they will be there. EDC, the Mayor's Office of Climate and Environmental Justice is finalizing their participants. So it sounds like that they'll be able to attend. Last year, we had the Department of City Planning, and they presented on I believe it was the waterfront projects. They have noted that they do not have anything super specific to East Harlem to present at this time, although they would love to attend. So I think our quest to make it as specific and germane to East Harlem leads me to believe that, of course, these partners can attend, but we want our presentations to be focused on planned and ongoing projects in the neighborhood. So I think it's fine that DCP will not attend. We've also reached out to Randall's Island Park Alliance, and Dawn, I see your hand, so I'm just going to go ahead and recognize you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Yes, I wanted to let you know that we certainly will be at the Earth Day museum presentation. So we're working in collaboration with RIPA, and we're coming up with some great ideas to present.
Great. And you are from RIPA, right?
I'm with New York City Parks, but we work very closely with RIPA.
Okay, great. So so Parks is confirmed to attend.
Yes.
Okay, great.
May I ask who you reached out to on behalf of Parks?
Steve Simon.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Okay, great.
I know, Steve. Yes, we will definitely be there.
Okay, thank you, Donna. And I think, Steve and I were going back and forth. I think there's just a little bit of collaboration and we need to do with EDC. I know that you all work together closely on the waterfront projects, and I'm sure we would anticipate EDC will be presenting something about the waterfront projects. But we'd be happy to, coordinate the either a joint presentation, or if there are other elements within East Harlem that Parks would like to present, or even, initiatives that you are planning that, are specifically impacting East Harlem, that would be great information for our residents on that day.
Yeah, absolutely. I can also reach out to Steve Simon, make sure that we're both on the same page.
Great, thank you. All right, before I recognize you, Asher, just to let everyone else know, we also reached out to Central Park Conservancy, and they will be presenting about the Harlem Mirror and are confirmed. And we've also reached out to DSNY. I heard back from Marissa that she was checking to see if they would be able to attend. And I followed up with her today to see if we might be able to get a response. But the main goal for now is that we, confirm who all is going to be there. And we can talk a little bit more about sort of the plan for the day. These larger partners that might have slightly longer presentations are trying to get confirmed as soon as possible. We also reached out to the Manhattan Borough President's Office, and We Act has also confirmed their attendance, as well as a few other community members. So before we go any further, Asher?
I have a question, and also just like, I spoke to Pleasant Village. They said that they would be able to attend. So
great.
Yeah, give like a brief presentation about all the changes within the garden, like the fencing got put up on the HPD land. So a lot of stuff was moved around. And also, because I'm working with like my specific youth group, how long will we have for the presentation? Just so I can like plan it out.
Yeah, and just to update everyone, I'm gonna give an overview and then answer your question if that's okay, Asher. So last year, and I think at our last meeting, we discussed sort of the takeaways from last year. We discussed that the sort of talking heads presentation method was maybe not the most effective for such a long event. Lots of great information, obviously, but how do we keep it more interesting and keep people engaged? So in the working group, we've been discussing, how to get CBOs more involved and local community gardens and youth groups and things. So Asher and David and others are working to see if there might be youth group presentations, and that we might open it up for the various organizations and community partners in East Harlem to be able to present quickly on who they are, what they do, how to get involved. So one of the things we're looking at is sort of analyzing all of the presenters and the topics and sort of a level of interaction. And I know some will be, presentations that are, just intended to get information across, and some might be more, survey related or, interactive with the crowd. And we're definitely looking forward to that. So I think there will be varying times of presentation. So I think city agencies, we might give just a little bit extra time to convey, a little bit more helpful information as to projects that are ongoing. So, not sticking to any specific guidelines at this time. So I'm still waiting to hear back from all of the presenters who will be there and what they're intending to present. But I think, Asher, to answer your question, that I think we could give CBOs probably 5 minutes to quickly present who they are, what they're, actively working on in the community, and how to get involved. Youth groups, I think we could do more of a, 10 or 15 minute, depending on, what you think what might work. And I think these are all up for discussion. So we can shift around the calendar and make sure that, we play around with it for the sort of 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. block of time that we have for presentations. And I think that we'll be giving city agencies and our sort of larger partners like Randall's Island Park Alliance closer to 10-15 minutes to convey as much information as they can. So from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. we will be running through these presentations, and I think we'll mix it up. So we might have like a city agency presentation, and then a youth group presentation, and then a CBO presentation, and then another city agency presentation, just to keep it a little bit more interesting. And instead of doing questions after each presentation, I think what we're leaning towards is using the lunch time as we go out onto the patio and enjoy the hopefully nice weather of the day on Friday out in front of the museum, that we could have tables for everyone who's presented, so that people who have questions or would like to get involved can actively sign up at those booths and interact directly with the different members and representatives of these different groups. So after that, we would then come back for our community-based organization strategy workshop, similarly to what we did last year. And that'll, tie up the event. And I think we would do the raffle. We spoke about doing a raffle. I know last year we did the gift cards for community members. And I think something that came up at our last meeting was, we still need some sort of carrot to get these, residents there and to stay and participate with us. So we're looking to do a small raffle during the lunch time to keep people engaged and to make sure that their time is valued. Does that answer your question, Asher?
Yeah, just making sure I got it. You said like 10 to 15 minutes for the youth groups, right?
Yeah, and it's a conversation. So whatever you think is necessary, we can definitely.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like our format. What we were gonna do was they were gonna create a video and then just like talk. That was should take no more than 10 minutes.
Okay, great. Yep, that sounds perfect. And have you spoken with David about the other youth group presentation?
That's all him. That's all him. That's not me.
What do you mean is all
Oh,
me?
hey, David. Oh, sorry, I didn't see
No,
it.
we
I only
summoned him.
see 15 names here, so I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
no problem. Actually, Midge Caparosa, Marjorie Caparosa, who's on,
She's on.
who works with, yes, I did see Midge on. We're gonna do a little thing on plastics, right? And then a nice little sun catcher design that you can make with bottles that Midge has kind of come up with or gathered from some wherever the bag of tricks she pulls things from. Midge, do you want to just ask anything? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I know, Jessica I asked her to actually join our smaller committee meeting. Because I think Midge likes to get, see the whole concept of what we're trying to put together and how she can best match it up. So I'm not sure. I think she's actually working with both of the groups to some extent at our Hope Academy, where we do Keystone, and then also at Lexington Academy, where we have K through 8th grade. So actually, I asked my daughter to help out with it too today. So she was researching some stuff on plastics.
Perfect. Yeah, I see Midge in the attendees. I'm not sure, Khalid, if you're able to allow her to.
Yes, 1 second.
Thank you. All right.
Hi, Midge. I always put Midge on the spot. I put everybody on the spot. I'm sorry, Jessica, I'll be quiet.
No problem. Midge, are you able to unmute yourself?
I'm trying. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I can hardly hear you. So
Oh,
stay
no.
as a join as. So do I have to say join as a panelist? Oops, that disappeared. Okay, you guys can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, it's a really kind of cool, just recycled seltzer bottle project where kids would repurpose. It falls under the repurposing theme of things that we use. So we're not just constantly throwing them out. Just making really fun sun catchers. The kids or attendees or whoever's there, draws lots of color. We'll bring the markers, paint markers, whatnot. And then you cut it and you string it up and put it in the sun. It's just really a nice thing to have. So I think that would be a nice thing. And also I have a lot of cut cardboard pieces to repurpose for art projects as well. So I can, I'll bring that as well. It's not a presentation. I didn't have a presentation, but whoever wants to participate.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah,
that's,
so
go ahead,
just
David.
so I clarify my vision, right? The idea was we'd have some of our elementary older youth present, very short presentation on how plastics affects our community in a positive, but also in a negative way. And then we're just going to make something very positive with them and know about recycling and not throwing out. So, we're tying it into those kind of things. So Ash is actually working with adolescents, and I'm going to work more with older elementary school kids.
Okay,
So,
great.
all right.
I just have a question, David.
Yep.
Do you imagine that there would be sort of a presentation on this and then an interactive element during that sort of presentation, or would you imagine that there
No,
would be some sort of presentation, interactive element is happening during the lunchtime?
During the lunchtime, I thought that would be good so that people can eat, they can come over, do the project as well. It's, looser time so that we involve it. And I'm sure there'll be adults that want to make, once they see the examples that Mitch will display, you will have more people than we think wanting to participate in it. So, again, we'll keep it nice and crisp and short, the presentation, just to, again, just to talk about how plastic affects our community, and then to do a little project and fun with it. So we'll have fun.
Great.
David, I think
Yeah, Mitch.
and Ash, correct me if I'm wrong, but the group Up at Hope is focused, through discussions in their own, youth voice, more issues of pollution due to secondhand smoke and bus depots and whatnot. Am I right? It's not necessarily about plastic specific.
No.
I'm so sorry. So you're asking like what we're specifically doing?
No, yeah, I just didn't know if David thought, David, did you think that the high
No,
school
I
kids were doing
separated.
something?
After
Okay.
all my discussions back and forth, and then the 8th graders want to do the stuff. So we had our own internal stuff to work through, Jessica. So just so you know.
Okay, cool.
So the 8th
we
graders are
finalized
gone.
it today. Can I?
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
We
Go ahead,
finalized
Ed.
it today. Okay. So basically they want to create an infomercial as a talking to they want to send it to representatives. They want to show it at the thing. And then basically this was our agreement. Whoever's not in the video is going to be there and they're going to give the pitch about what they want changed within East Harlem and stuff like that. So
Good.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like some policy work could come out of that.
Yeah.
So that's
they
great.
want to talk specifically they have a call to action. They want they're talking mostly about the bus depot and the circulation, basically how air pollution is multiple things, but the two things they're focusing on is the bus depot and smoking, and then asthma within East Harlem, the cycle basically. That was the word I was looking for. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you all three of you for the update, and it's great to hear it's all coming together. So I'm gonna open it to Donna. You have your hand raised.
Yes, hi. I'd actually like to elaborate a little bit on what we're planning.
Sure.
We're planning on talking about a community forest and really looking at all of our trees and, we wanted it to be a little more interactive. And I'm thinking based on our conversation from the last community board, we were throwing some ideas out there. But we would really like to do something a little more interactive and of course, talk about trees, the importance of trees, what they're doing for us, talk about the different species of trees, ages, and how to take care of trees and what they really mean for us. We were thinking of bringing in some saplings, some little trees, and some different leaves so that children or, adults, you can see that firsthand. We're thinking about, of course, having some literature and maybe a poster where, the children can put their hand in a little bit of paint and, we have a tree and then their little hands could be the leaves. And we're also going to be bringing in a worm bin where the worms, the children can actually, or adults, of course, you can take the worms out of the bin and hold them and see how they move and interact directly with them. So that's something that we're thinking of doing.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for providing additional color on that. And it's helpful for us to know. I think we'll try to intersperse these more interactive presentations and discussions in between the ones that may not have interactive components, which is okay. But yeah, that all sounds amazing, Donna. Thank you so much for elaborating on that. I see two.
Jess, I'll just add, I think that'll also be good, during the lunch, it'll give people things to do, who may not want to go just speak to people, but want to be interactive. So
Yeah.
I love the worms.
Yeah, Donna, does it sound like the sort of, there will be more of a brief presentation element that happens in the presentation period, and then that is more interactive component is happening, at least with the worms and things, is happening out on the patio and during lunch?
You know what, this is my first experience with this, and we weren't thinking of actually doing a presentation. I thought we were going to be set up and just kind of have that one-on-one conversation with people and discussion and really kind of see where it leads. But of course, have the overall, the trees there, the leaves, and that kind of thing. Do we need to do a presentation?
I think it would be helpful. I mean, it doesn't have to be a presentation. I think one of the things, we think that is important is there's all these great organizations like Randall's Island Park Alliance that have so many great things, like all of the educational programs and volunteer initiatives and things that you have going on at the park. But not enough people are aware of these opportunities, right? So if there was maybe like a quick 5-minute, intro to what you will be doing at the lunchtime. So what we have an auditorium space in the museum that we'll be hanging out with from sort of 10 to 12, and then from 12 to 1 we'll be moving out to the exterior, that beautiful patio that they have overlooking the conservatory gardens. So it would be helpful, I think, if during the presentation aspect of it that Randall's Island Park Alliance talks a little bit about the different programming opportunities and just a general overview of like the great work that you do and how to get involved, so that when people come out to the patio that they're able to interact with you about that and with the items that you have.
I love that. That would be great. We do offer so many things at Randall's, and we really want to get the word out there, and they're free programs and they're great. And there's a lot of passion behind it. So we will certainly do that.
Great. Thank you, Donna. And then I'll go to Asher and then David.
All right. First little comment. I don't think the worms are going to work during lunch. But speaking of lunch, because I remember like when we did our smaller group, I just wanted to ask, did we decide which caterer we were going to go with? Because I might not be here Wednesday. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I think we're still planning towards Lexington Pizza Parlor, if you were able to touch base with them.
All right, I shall talk to them on Wednesday then. I just was making sure because I want to go over there if we weren't leaning towards there.
Okay, great. And if that doesn't work out, I think there's plenty of other options that we can explore. But while we're here, I'll just go down the list. David and then Diane.
Yeah, I think you covered a lot of it. I thought maybe we can have them talk a little right before the lunch break and lead right into it with the worms. But I also thought the touching stuff with the trees and the worms might be good to also set up earlier. Maybe not all the kids are going to last that long and listen to all the things. That can go outside for a little while, play with the worms and come back in. So, maybe this is what we'll start narrowing down Wednesday when we start planning more. But yeah, no, I think that'll be great. Sounds all great. Thanks.
Thanks, David. Yeah, and I think we'll have to touch base with the museum and see how their level of openness to worms in the building will be. So if we want to bring that kind of thing inside while we're continuing the presentations, if that's something that's possible. Great point. And this is all flexible. So if we wanted to do worms up front, we could definitely do that. And we'll talk about it some more as we go along.
Jessica,
Diane?
just let
Go
me
ahead.
know if we're not allowed to bring the worms. I mean, they're in a, they're in a bin. So.
I'm sure it will be fine.
Oh, okay.
And if there's
Wonderful.
any concern, then, we can leave it in a designated area until we're ready to use it.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll,
Absolutely.
we'll just say sorry later, Jess. Don't even ask.
Or like hand washing. It's fine.
Yeah.
No,
Wash
I
the
mean,
hands.
the Museum of the City of New York is doing, a lot to help us with this event. And obviously we don't want to step on any toes. So we'll make sure we're letting them know about these kinds of things and following their protocol as to how they want to handle it. But that's really excellent to know. And we can, I'm in contact with them and I will reach out to them tonight. Diane and then Debbie.
So I am going to pivot from this conversation. So I would like to know, are you wrapping? I can bring up my issue after. If Debbie's going to say something about the Earth Day planning, because I have a totally different issue I want to bring up as old business.
Okay, great. Debbie, do you have something on Earth Day?
Yeah, just very quickly, one of the things that I was going to suggest was that maybe we can put together a resource list or some kind of notice about maybe if they want to do more and find out more about the earth and things like that, that they can go to the Museum of Natural History. Just kind of an announcement, like if you're turned on, find out more, go to the Museum of Natural History. So, or around the city, other things that are related to EJ and just nature.
Yeah, I would definitely need help with something like that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think.
And I only say that because I went to the Whitney Museum this weekend and I saw the exhibition on her that was dedicated to Hurricane Maria, and it was fabulous. But it's ending on the 23rd of April.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, well, we'll keep that moving along. Is there anything else in regards to the Earth Day conference? I think the big thing is just continuing to confirm the schedule. We're, I think we'll continue the conversations in our working group to finalize the lunch and the raffle items. And then anything additional that, we would like to do, just know that, our time is limited. So if you have an idea, and it would be great if you would spearhead said idea and show up to our working group meetings if you'd like to continue to be involved. Diane, before I go to you, I see Midge's hand up, which I imagine is for Earth Day.
Oh, yeah, hi. Yeah, I just had one quick question, and then I'm actually going to sign off. So, are there going to be tables available for us to do the art projects on there,
Yes.
or will we need to bring? Okay,
Nope.
great.
The museum will supply all the tables. I just need to let them know how to organize them on the exterior there, and we'll be able to use the auditorium space before and after we're out there.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. Good night, everybody.
And we'll make sure we bring plastic tablecloths to cover the tables above what they cover. Okay, we know how Midge works with the art.
Okay, I am definitely signing off now. Good night. Have a safe night, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, if there's nothing else, I know we had a meeting planned for this Wednesday, which I did cancel tentatively as we were had another meeting at the same time with Malik and the Parks Tours group. So if there's no objection, I would like to offer that if the Parks Tour group is meeting from 6:30 to maybe 7:30, that we might be able to meet also maybe 7:30 to 8, just to touch base. Would the working group members be able to do that?
Most of us overlap, right?
Exactly.
I can attempt. I can attempt to.
Okay.
If anything, I might just pop on and pop off.
Okay. So maybe what we'll do is, Khalid, if maybe we can add whoever is on the working group for Earth Day to the Parks Tours group, and we can just roll one into the other quickly, depending on how long they take.
I can set up the meeting logistics for you all, but I did want to just make clear that Wednesday, that's what we're referring to, I won't be available. I had to fill in for the License and Permits Committee, but I'll make sure it's set up for you all, no problem.
Okay. Thank you, Colleen. And if you want to give me, I don't know if it's possible to give me any permissions, then I can, run it myself and coordinate all of that as well.
Yeah, it'll probably be a Google Meets, and I'll just try to make sure that you're able to run it and coordinate it yourself. No problem. Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you, Khalid, and thank you for helping out the rest of the community board staff. Diane?
Okay, thanks, Jessica. That's why I didn't want to interrupt the enthusiasm that I heard the whole committee having about, of course, the Earth Day planning. But I do want to bring up the fact that we haven't heard much about the Richard Toussaint naming of the co-naming. Where do we stand with that?
Did you get my email?
I saw the email. I saw, but I get 1,000 emails. No disrespect to remember. And clearly, where are we going with that, Jessica? As you know, the reason why the Riverton did not want to push the co-naming about a year ago was because of Darius, the basketball player that got killed over there at the park. And summer is coming again, and we know what happens over at that park. So I just wanted to bring that to the park's attention as to what, if any, attention is going to be paid to that park. My understanding also is that CB10 was getting involved with this. And that's really out of their jurisdiction. So I just wanted to make you aware of that as well. They're working with the DA. Right now, probably nobody's working with the DA considering what's going on in the city, but I wanted to find out more about what, if any, CB11 is going to do about that. Second thing is the sanitation garage. Are they parking on the street? Has she been back to the Parks Committee since then? I haven't seen her.
She has not.
Okay. And so I wanted to know what's happening with that as well.
Yeah.
So those are my old business, and
yes,
clearly,
thank you.
Clearly old business because it's north of
No,
it's the northern portion, and I just don't want you guys to forget that we exist up there. And I just wanted to find out, what are we doing, if we're doing anything at all?
Yep, we are moving forward on all of these things. Just to keep everyone in the loop, I did speak with the widow of Richard Toussaint, I think it was last week. And this came out of a conversation that I had with Steve Simon, saying that, Richard Toussaint's widow was interested in seeing something happen as soon as possible. And that according to Steve and Parks, that was something that, that they wanted to go ahead and name the pathway, understanding that the park would not be named also in addition later on, but that in order to name the park, the construction, would have to be completed, which would be, many years from now, if, however long that might take. So I spoke with Dina Toussaint, and she mentioned that, she's in her 80s and wants to see something happen as soon as possible, and that she would, prefer that the pathway naming move forward as quickly as possible, so that, she and others who knew Mr. Toussaint would be able to see that come to fruition now. So I did reach out to Steve Simon, and I have yet to hear back from him, but she had asked that he reach out to her. I think there's some confusion, and I think the community board has now some confusion on what exactly their plans are for that, where exactly it's being located, because what I heard from her is that it was happening north of where I was expecting it to happen. So I think probably just a phone call between myself, Xavier, and Steve and Angel needs to occur very soon to sort of wrap up what the details are and when that is going to be happening. But Xavier, was there anything you'd like to say on that? Oh, you put your hand up. No?
Sorry about that. Muting, unmuting. It's a meeting theme. Diane, thank you so much for bringing that up. I think Jess put it out there very plainly, very beautifully, and how we're chasing this. And I appreciate you leaning in that regard. I just want to make a quick comment about the Riverton Tenants Association. March 22nd was right after our full board. That Wednesday was when it was going away, our surprise celebration of Peter Gibbons, Officer Gibbons from the 23rd Precinct, which happened at the same time. So that is why I could not attend the Riverton, but it is on my calendar. I'm getting up north. So I just want to say thanks for bringing that up.
Great.
So just to let me respond. So no worries on that, Xavier, because we understood about the Gibbons party, and clearly you needed to be there given the number of chiefs that were coming to the party. So it was clearly because understood. I'm just bringing those two items up because it's important to the northern portion of not just to the Riverton, but the northern community up above 125th Street. Some of these items that are still outstanding, and just to keep it on the radar of the Parks Committee.
Thank you, Diane. And just to follow up on your second item about the park, about the sanitation garage, we've been asking DSNY, and I think Khalid's been doing a great job sort of, asking and reaching out to DSNY to see if they will attend our meetings. And most often, as you can see, they are deciding not to attend. We did reach out and had a meeting also last week with the independent budget office. I think this was a conversation from I believe like October of last year. They had a presentation about how they could assist with different research and helping to analyze where money is going and why. So we were able to talk to them about what we would hope to be getting understanding on a community board level, which is why is it that we submit this request, which is a points of agreement commitment from the city for this this garage, and it continues year after year to come back. There are not enough funds to support this at this time. So from what we heard at that meeting, I think we all know all the budget issues across the city, but DSNY specifically has a number of buildings in disrepair. And when they say disrepair, I think, they've been like literally falling down, and that the money has been being prioritized in those areas to, keep operations moving at all. And that is why, it could be one reason why funds are not necessarily available to contribute to this commitment. So we are working with IBO to get, some sort of research done to understand, where the money is going for DSNY, and if there's anything that we can learn from how money is being distributed, whether that's, equitable or, if that's something that we can bring up this summer over our budget consultation meetings with our groups.
Okay. Has anyone observed whether or not those trucks are on the street?
They're on the sidewalk.
They're on the street.
It's bad. It's bad.
That was the big issue. That was the big issue. That was one of the MOUs that, with the understanding they were not supposed to put them on the street.
Yep. And then, I think we, obviously we'll continue to follow up with the IBO, but I think one of the next steps is, we had asked for the commissioner to come to one of our meetings, and I don't believe that we've heard back, Khalid. So I think whether Xavier and I need to set up a discussion with DSNY to make that happen. We need the attention of the higher ups at this point to get things moving forward.
The one thing I'll say, and I'll in signing off on this topic, Xavier and Jessica, my understanding over, Tucson was also very involved with putting a sanitation garage uptown as well. And my understanding is that he had somehow or another gotten congressional dollars to make that happen. So maybe that's another way to look at it.
Yeah.
And that was years ago, of course, probably a different era, a different time. But maybe you should have the conversation with the congressman about this in terms of capital dollars, climate change, clean environment, all the buzzwords.
Yep, exactly. No, great idea. And I think, if you'd like to be involved, we can definitely loop you in and keep you engaged on this. I know it's taking forever, and we really are, trying to make as much progress in the background as possible, but I'm sorry for not updating the committee more often on these items.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to bring it up, make it part of the record. Let's understand where we are currently as of this date. That's all.
Great.
Yep, that's it.
Thank you, Diane. We'll keep you in the loop and we'll keep everybody in the loop and Xavier and I will touch base and keep it moving. Is there any other old business? No, any new business? No. All right. With that, I will take roll call to end the meeting, and I look forward to seeing you all on Wednesday for the parks tours and Earth Day planning.
One second, members. Diane Collier,
Here.
Jessica Elliott,
Present.
David Giordano,
Present.
Alonzo Johnson, St. Jewel Jones.
Here.
Kindly is excused. Malik McCullough. All right, we'll come back. Debbie Quinones.
You're on mute, Debbie.
Asher-
Of course, present.
Okay, good. Thanks, guys. Asher Rodriguez.
Present.
Thanks. Russell Schuler.
Present.
Thank you. Michelle Wiltshire Clement
Present.
and Jordan Wright.
Present.
Thank you, Jordan. Okay, that's it, Chair.
All right, seeing that there's no more business, this meeting is adjourned at 8:24. Thank you all and have a great night. See you on Wednesday.
Good
Thank you.
night.
See you Wednesday.
See you Wednesday. Have a good night.